Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carrie, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Lexus post-game podcast. I am here in studio. We've got the rest of the crew in Memphis, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, and that includes Eddie Radosevich. That includes George Stoya, the third, and it also apparently includes George Stoya, the second, who goes by Sam. George's father has finally. We don't have Eddie's father, but we do have George's father. Welcome, Sam, to your first. Appearance on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast.
Well, Kara, I have the mic right now, but I can hand it over to my dad if you want his instant thoughts from the game.
So Eddie didn't bring that third mic, huh?
No, we do.
No,
we
do.
have two headphones is the issue,
okay.
I have it on right now. Yeah. But I can hand it over, no problem. I mean, I think I made my thoughts pretty clear on the instant reaction.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We'll start with us three, and then we'll let your dad join in here in just a bit. By the way, this is presented by Eskridge Lexus. If you are a listener of this podcast or a scooper or a purveyor of anything, YouTuber, go to EskridgeLexus.com. Tell them you're a scooper. They'll give you a $1,000 discount when mentioning that. And go shop them online at EskridgeLexus.com or give them a call, 405-755-9000. How were the wheels today, or the last couple of days, fellas? The official travel partner. What did we get? What did Ed give us?
Little RX, and it's been spectacular.
It's been a great ride.
It's starting to make me think that I really screwed up. I should have got an RX. I like having a little bit of the bigger body than the UX that I have, but it's been great.
Plenty of space.
Everything about the trip outside of the second half has been awesome. Carrie, I think I died and went to heaven when we walked into the Grove today. It really truly is one of the coolest, most unique tailgating settings that you could possibly come across.
It was one of the coolest things that I've seen in a college football space.
I did not realize how many tents. I had a pretty good idea and how they have them packed, and each little, I don't know, I guess it's a street. There are streets within the tent city. It's unbelievable.
Awesome.
I told Plank on the pregame show today that it's you go in and you see all of these tents, and it's basically like you're walking around Los Angeles, but you're walking around Oxford, Mississippi with the best tailgating ever.
And they walk
so
right
instead of
through
homeless people, you're saying it's chicken wings.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
With people with tents with chandeliers. It's incredible.
Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
No, it was I was over there with my family and got to see the team Ole Miss and Juice and Lane Kiffin walk through. They go right through the Grove, which was pretty sweet, and it really puts the Walk of Champions to shame. But I heard some OU fans saying that, man, this is way better than Oklahoma's tailgating scene. It's better than everybody's tailgating scene. I thought Auburn was awesome in terms of tailgating and the crowd outside the stadium. This was a different level. I've never seen anything like it.
And how about the in stadium, the game day atmosphere in the stadium?
Can I be honest?
I've heard some criticism from some friends that I know that went.
I kind of thought it sucked.
Yeah, yes, they thought the same thing. They said high school
student
production is what it reminded them of in some ways.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think that like the student section and stuff, it reminds me a lot of tech vibes.
Yeah.
Students just yelling at anybody in OU gear, very vulgar things. It was cool. The stadium's pretty underwhelming though. It's just different.
It's very old. I didn't think the student section was great. I didn't think it was that intimidating of an opposing crowd, to be honest.
Right.
Well, they're known for, partying harder outside the game
Yeah.
than they are
Oh, sure. 100%.
All right. Well, look, there have been a lot of things that have transpired online today. A lot of comments. I know, George, you got inundated with them because I was tagged on a lot of them on running the Scoop account. But, I'm going to tell you, honestly, most of my anger came out last week about this offensive line and how bad it was and how bad it's gotten. I didn't expect really even what they gave in the first half today. So I don't have any irate take for you on the offensive line. Like, I got it out last week. They're not any good. And then when Jacob Sexton wasn't any good last week, and maybe it's because he was hurt, because he obviously was trying to play today when most people would not have been able to. And then when he went out and Howland came in, it just fell apart. But, I thought Jackson Arnold played the best half of football that any OU quarterback has played all year against good competition. And it just became so painfully, obviously clear that there is not a receiving threat other than Jacob Jordan remaining on this roster. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know on the broadcast and take whatever you want from Louis Riddick, but he was kind of critical of them not trying to get Brendan Thompson more involved in the game. They've tried to get Brendan Thompson more involved. I just don't think he's ever open enough. And every time that a ball is thrown downfield, we never see him get separation on someone. And then, J.J. Hester will make a play here or there. But, guys, we read off the amount of catches from these players that are out there right now. And it's clear that this – look, we've talked a lot about the tight end room, and it's crap. It's really crap. And having to basically make Bauer Sharp the point man on your offense, it's like playing with one hand tied behind your back. He's just not very good. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Javonte Barnes, if not for him today, they might have gotten beat a lot worse. I mean, that offensive line, the run blocking was good in the first half. They were blowing people off the ball. They were creating space for Barnes. He was running hard. It's just there's no options for Jackson Arnold out there on offense, even when they are blocking in the pass game.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think you're right on all fronts, Kerry, and that's where we've gotten to the point where it's like it just is what it is. And I think Joe Jon did a pretty good job. Like, I thought the game plan was really, really good.
It is an indictment. I spent the entire first half just wondering what the was Seth Littrell doing?
I was right there.
What were they doing for 7 weeks?
By the way,
crazy.
I don't know if the plan was is Eddie taking over the F-bomb train because George has been the king of that.
I had to get that one out.
If that's why Sam is here because he's trying to limit your time in confessional.
I had to get that one out. It really is, though, an indictment. Like, I thought the first half, Kerry, we were talking on the way back, like from just a pace perspective, if they were going to win that game, that's how they were going to have to do it.
Yeah,
long, extended drives, running the football.
Look, it's just I come out, encouraged of Jackson Arnold's performance. OU has found their quarterback. Yeah. They don't need to go back to anyone, no matter what happens the rest of the year. I mean, this main game, maybe somebody can finally throw for 300 yards. Maybe Jackson Arnold was almost on track to do that at halftime. As limited as they were in throwing the ball, he was still, he was going to get 200 at some point. He was going to break the 200 barrier. Didn't happen. Yeah. But him in the running game, I mean, the guts that he showed, it was like you said, it was a really good game plan. They got Jackson Arnold, in the flow of things. The checkdowns he was making, he was doing it all, but just constantly watching him scan the field and look down the field. When he did have time, he had to check down almost every single time because there's no one capable other than Jacob Jordan of getting open in that receiver room on a consistent basis. And I don't know why they didn't play. I don't know how many. I mean, the snap counts. I don't know, George, if those are out yet.
I'd have to look. I haven't looked them up yet.
But usually they don't get out this early. But sometimes they do at 11 a.m. games. I would like to see Jacob Jordan snap counts, today compared to everybody else. But you didn't see.
He was out there quite a bit.
You didn't see, any of the Zions out there that much today. I don't know how much they played, but
yeah. They were both out there at times, but it definitely wasn't enough. Like I told Eddie, I was like, at what point does the J.J. Hester experiment just have to end? Like he had the one catch over the middle today, but other than that, like he had a couple more drops and he's just not getting open. Like play Zion Kearney, who I think has shown some good things. And, I think we've seen enough of Zion Reagan's, but, I think that, I don't know, the wide receiver room is not good. They need to get Deion Burks back.
They were incredible. The drive to end the first half, I thought was like the high point of the season. Not only did they finish off the complimenting the defense for getting them off the field,
it was the best drive of the year.
And they go 95 yards, and it was quick. It was easy to a certain extent. I know that they were aided by some penalties, and Ole Miss kept them in the game in the first half because of some stupid penalties, but that was the best drive, and it ended with maybe Jackson's best play as a quarterback at Oklahoma.
It was awesome. And I really thought, Kerry, at halftime, and Eddie and I both said the same thing, we thought they were going to win.
We're also sick people.
Yeah, but I was like, they're out playing Ole Miss. They get the ball to start the second half, and of course, they just revert to their old selves. They go 3-and-out to start. The defense gives up a long touchdown drive, which, I mean, we can get into the defense. The corners were not good today. The secondary had a lot of busts, but the second half is what we've seen from Oklahoma all season, and the first half was an anomaly, truthfully. Now, I think it showed the potential of what they could be when they figure some shit out, but the second half is what this football team's been all season.
And then the sacks, Kerry. I mean, 9 of them. They gave up 9 sacks. They've given up 19 sacks in the last 2 weeks. A stat from Max Olson, 38 sacks is the most in FBS, and they gave up 41 as the most OU teams ever given up. They have 4 more weeks left. I mean, Maine might break the record against them next week.
You know what's crazy about today? OU loses 26-14, but I think you gain a little bit of hope that maybe OU can beat a Missouri. Maybe they could hang. Alabama's probably just being at home, probably pie in the sky, but maybe they can hang with them. I mean, I don't think they can beat. I don't know what's going on with LSU and A&M right now.
10-7.
But yeah, that's going to be a tough putt winning in Baton Rouge.
I think we can punt that. They're not going to win in Baton Rouge, but it's going to be fun.
Kerry, the only game left, I think they have a chance is Missouri. Maybe Alabama if they play just amazing, but I think they could beat Missouri.
I told George in the instant reaction, Kerry, I think the reality of the situation is this is just a bad football team that gave themselves a chance today, and they weren't able to get over that hump.
I think I put the headline, I don't know if you guys saw it on the thumbnail for the instant reaction, was scrap, no claws. They don't have any weapons. They have nothing to hurt someone with.
No, and
they have some scrap in them, but they have no claws.
I thought that they did enough in the first half to give themselves a chance, and then they just came out in the second half, and like George said, it was a lot of what we have seen here over the first 6-7 weeks of the season.
Well, and the third quarter was just, again,
it was awful.
They
even get a first down?
No.
I think they had 23 total yards or something like that.
I don't think they had a first down in the third quarter, and they also Ole Miss had back-to-back touchdowns.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, with the offensive line and
awful.
I don't know, this week, I never want to say this, but there's a certain segment of online OU fan that I'm kind of ashamed of you guys. Like, I just am. Like, the fan fiction about the receiving room, I mean, it's just, it drives me insane. Like, those guys are hurt. Deion Burks he's not trying to sit out and save a season and transfer. Like, that's not happening. That's not going on. Like, I don't know why you need to believe that this is going on, or why does it make you feel better?
Feel better, Kerry.
Yeah, I guess it makes them feel better. But it's the same thing. Like, And today, like, people are attacking us like, you built up Bill Bedenbaugh to be this. No, we didn't. We told you the offensive line was going to be trouble back in the spring. And it's trouble. It's not getting any better. And I think I don't understand how you didn't watch last week's game and realize there's no fixing that pile of shit. There's just no fixing it.
There's no drills that can be done. They have 4 or 5 guys that, whether right or wrong, probably shouldn't be playing football at Oklahoma. It is what it is.
And hand up, Kerry, it's on me. I should be asking tougher questions.
Well, it's like, why are you, people are upset. Why are they playing Bauer Sharp? Because he's the best they got. He is. I've said this before. I wish they would play Devon Mitchell just so people can see that he's not ready. That he doesn't know what he's doing yet. That he still needs time to develop physically. He looks great standing in a uniform. It's not going to be good if you put him out there and give him things that you have to depend on as an offense.
Yeah.
It's just, and I think the kid has a chance to be really good, but he's not ready. He reclassified. He should still be a senior in high school. He's not ready. And you saw Jake Roberts had a nice little reception off the ricochet today, but as soon as he catches the ball, he's like cement in a uniform.
And you saw OU move the ball early in this game with Bauer Sharp out there. Like Bauer Sharp was playing good football to start the game. Now I don't know how sustainable that is, but I don't think
played,
it's all on,
the throwback and all that. It was just like no.
Yeah, that was not good. But that's the thing too. Is like I saw some people saying like OU wasn't even competitive in the game. They were in the game all the way
at halftime.
They were up at halftime.
Yeah.
I think, look, I don't know. Like you said, Eddie, people just want to make themselves feel better, but you got to just slow it down a little bit with the tantrums and the angst and just realize that
unfortunately, it's only going to get worse as this record gets worse. I mean, they're 4-4 now. There's a reality they could finish 5-7.
I think, Kerry, though, I think that what you're saying is like, let's slow down on the conspiracy theories on things, but I don't have any problem with people and fans being frustrated with the product on the field right now. I mean, you look at the stat that came out today about, it's the first time since 1998, which we keep bringing up 1998, that they've lost 3 consecutive games by double digits. Brent is now 1-9 in top 25 games. Like, I think as fans, they have every right to be 100% frustrated with the product that Oklahoma's putting out there. Now,
100%.
Does that mean that guys are quitting on the team and all of that shit? No.
And they're not giving effort, and they're standing there, and they're not showing enough grit, and,
right.
Like, that kind of stuff, like, take that back to McLean, Oklahoma, McLean County, where it belongs, or I'm from Stevens County. Take it back to Marlow, folks, all right? You're not winning on grit in the SEC. Grit has nothing to do with winning or losing in the SEC. It's talent level.
Yeah, they need more 6'8", 330-pound left tackles is what they need.
With good feet.
Yes.
And the thing about Bill, too, is like he has had 13, 14 years of really good offensive lines, but it's an indictment of where he's let this thing get.
And we've said that. We've said that. Repeatedly, we've said that. We're not giving him a pass just because we're not asking Brent, why isn't he fired yet, which is a very inappropriate question, an unprofessional question to ask. That doesn't mean that we haven't been critical of Bill Bedenbaugh. We have. We've said he hasn't done his job. He's let it slip, and he deserves to be fired for how bad this offensive line is because it's as bad as it's ever been at the University of Oklahoma. I said I lost the angst last week. It's back.
I mean, it's bullshit. They should never have an offensive line that is the worst in the FBS.
Yeah.
Let alone they should have. It's mind numbing to talk about. I don't understand.
It's not getting better. That's the problem. I mean, the first half today, if you can duplicate that again, that's the best you can hope from that group.
Yeah.
And by the way, George, I know you asked Brent after the press conference how Jacob Sexton was doing. He kind of gave you like, well, his mental health is good. You didn't really get an answer, I guess, but do we have any more information on the severity of his injury?
Well, it sounds like that it's not maybe as serious as we thought, but it's definitely not.
Kerry, up in the tunnel at halftime, my phone wasn't working, so I called George and I told him that Sexton's parents were up up there with him, like right outside the OU locker room. And I don't know, it was a tough scene.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think he probably needs an MRI. I don't know if it's like an ACL, but I would say that it's
Definitely a knee.
Definitely a knee issue, and we'll see if he's able to. I mean, if anything, he's definitely not coming back next week or probably against Missouri, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, and I know Gabe, we had talked a little bit. He was not really understanding why they didn't put Tarquin at left and just bring Spencer Brown at right at that point if things were going so poorly with Howland.
Well, and it should be noted, Jake Taylor, who was not on the availability report all week or on the 90 minutes before kickoff, did not make the trip to Oxford. He was a late scratch, and I believe that's injury related. He left the game last week injured, so I don't know what's going on there. Because if Jake Taylor could have played today, you could have played Jake at right and moved Tarquin to left, and maybe you would have been able to survive a little bit longer. But Logan Howland just isn't ready.
No.
All right, I want to remind you guys, Eskridge Lexus, the official travel partner of Sooner Scoop and the post-game pod, actually the presenting sponsor for the Oklahoma Sooners post-game pod. And you guys know about the hail damage they had up in Edmond, a massive hailstorm, and Eskridge Lexus has tents all over, so it didn't affect any of their vehicles. They've still got plenty of new and pre-owned vehicles that escaped without any damage. Now, if you're having problems with your insurance company or getting your car into somewhere to have it worked on, give the guys a call at Eskridge Lexus, a call, 405-755-9000. That you can just trade it in as is for one of their brand new or pre-owned Lexuses. You'll also receive a $1,000 discount when mentioning that you are a scooper. So come by, test drive the new GX 550, test the RX like Eddie and George drove out. Maybe look at one of their mini, what do you got, the NX? UX? What is that, Eddie?
Eddie's gone to the bathroom. My dad is filling it. I think he has the NX, if I remember correctly.
Check one of those out. I mean, you hear Lexus, you hear luxury car. They're very affordable. I mean, compared to like freaking trucks. I mean, my God, trucks are ridiculous. But go check them out. Look at their inventory, EskridgeLexus.com. Even if you're from out of state, give them a call, 405-755-9000. Ed is just a wizard at getting you a car. They've helped people I know from Arkansas get a car that local dealers said that they couldn't get. So give them a call, 405-755-9000. Thanks to Ed and all the great people over at Eskridge Lexus for joining the pod. So we now have Sam Stoya joining us. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's on. Give it a go, Dad.
I'm on. How you doing?
Make sure you put that. There you go, right there, Dad. Put the mic up close.
Yeah, I had tons of people come to me at the Grove who want to know I was going to be on today, so we'll see if I do worth a shit. There we go.
How does the wife handle all of George's cussing on the post game podcast after tough losses?
She doesn't listen. She kind of drowns it out. But it was funny today in the stands. We were sitting by the players' parents, and there was an Ole Miss guy there that was kind of mouthing off, and she got in his face. I thought she was going to drop an F-bomb right then and there. I was pretty fired up.
All right, Sam. I know from just hearing George talk about you guys break down the game after it's all over and said all said and done. I should say. How bad is this offensive line? Like historically, you've watched a lot of football. You played football at OU. How bad is it?
It's the worst offensive line since I can remember, since Sean Blake era. The bottom line is, Kerry, is that you guys have kind of been telling us, we just hadn't heard it for the last few years, that we have missed out on recruiting. If people would listen to the scoop, you said that, we've been like second best on getting the guy and we don't get this guy. And so 22 and 21 is coming to really hurt him. The reality of it is this, is there's not a single player on the OU offensive team that would started for Ole Miss today, or South Carolina's offensive team, or Tennessee's offensive team. And so that's where we're at. And it all starts up front. And I said, so you could have hid some things if we had the wide receivers have been healthy. You could have made it a little better, but we're just not very good there. And so I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's going to be a few years.
Yeah, that was really good. Well said.
Let me ask you this, Sam. I mean, you played the position. What do you tell people that say just play the young guys? Like just let the young guys have their shot. How bad could that go? Or do you believe that maybe they should try some young guys?
Well, here's the thing, and I went to practice in August, and they're not physically ready to play. And I think that's the indicator today when the 71, whatever his name is, Logan Howland came in the game. He's going to be an okay player, but he's not ready to play yet because, he's a kid, I believe, wasn't a tight end in high school. He moved to tackle. He's not physically there. What happens most of the time is they get pushed back. They're not there. So I don't know what the other guys are doing, what that situation is. I think they're in a bad position. And I think the fans need to realize that it's going to take a couple of years because I don't think you can do it through the portal. And the other part is if we want to compete, and I'm going off of the deal, and this is the NFL. This isn't the Big 12. And all these schools have a ton of money they're putting in it. And if you really are concerned and you're upset about OU football, then you need to join the one, whatever the thing is, and start paying money. And if you're already paying, and double it. Because it's going to take a lot of money. And there was a ton of money being spent on that football field today.
That's what's scary, Sam.
We're going to play in that.
That's what
I'm just telling you, we want to play. That's what we're going to have to do. We have to pay the money because you got to keep them. You got to get new ones, and you got to keep them. And so the bottom line is, but you can't. Again, you guys been telling, Sooner Scoop's been telling us, and nobody's listening, and everybody thinks they put a red helmet to the greatest player in the whole world, but we haven't recruited very well up front on the offensive line. And at the end of the day, this is an offensive, defensive line league. And then on defense, we got some good players. We're not quite there yet. We're undersized at corner. And the bottom line is we're better in the defensive line, but tell me what defensive guy can win one-on-one battles. We don't get pressure on them. And that was the difference in the game today. And the reality of it is Ole Miss is running our offense. We both ran the same offense today. Yeah. The exact same offense. RPO, they read the box, and their quarterback made some plays. I thought Jackson Arnold played well. So I kind of rambled around. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. No, that was great. Let me ask you, and Sam, you bring up a good point because, I think about this a lot, but I thought about it today more than ever. Like, Ole Miss, Missouri, Texas A&M, like we've seen all these schools are outspending Oklahoma to get to the level that they're at, which isn't even good enough to compete with the best. Like they're winning all the NIL battles, and they're still like Ole Miss is struggling. They got beat by LSU in the last game, who doesn't spend NIL money. And then they take on Oklahoma today. They're down at halftime. Like, just spending money doesn't guarantee you anything. That's what's kind of scary to me.
Yeah, I agree, Kerry. I think that the NIL angle of it it's true. Like, my dad's right that they got to be ready to pay a lot of money, especially this offseason if they're going to rebuild this offense. But I think it also starts with they have to be better in high school recruiting. Like, I think what my dad said earlier, just the whiffs a couple years ago, that's where they've had the biggest issues is up front is just whiffing in the high school recruiting. And that's the part where it's like, okay, well, they're about to bring in the best offensive line class they've had in 20 some years. But at the same time, like, is Bill Beatenbill going to be on the staff next year? Like, and does he deserve to be on the staff next year? I don't know. That's what I'm really interested in. And like,
well, that decision might not even matter though, George. We can argue about that all day, but if they hire the right offensive coordinator, he has the right to blow out everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I thought about today, because when I played was 81 through 84. 81, we had a really bad season. 82, Marcus Dupree turned it around. 83, we had a bad year. Didn't go to a bowl game, and they fired Galen Hall, and they brought in a guy named Matt Brown. Okay, and so that turned that football team around. 84 was Mac, 85 was Jim Donnan. So I think if they get the right guy, it could start the trend. But all I caution OU fans, I think to be realistic, because of the OU line, I think you're looking a couple of years to be for a championship. I think you can win 8 games. I can have a possibility to win 9. But I said those are the issues I see, and I And I think you can't worry about what recruits you're going to lose. I think you got to go hire the best people you can. You better spend the big bucks and go, because the bottom line is this is a big opportunity for OU, and it's a big opportunity for the University of Oklahoma, and we got to go spend the money here. And if we want to compete, and this is the NFL. This is my takeaway from the 3 games I've been in person for the SEC. You better get ready to play. This isn't the Big 12 where you can get by, you can hide people. The reality of it is. So last thing, Kerry, and I don't know how much longer you want me on here, but I was as an ex-player and alumni, proud of the football team today. I thought they busted their ass with all the crap that went on all week long, and the thing I didn't know what to expect, and I thought they played their ass off. I thought Joe Jon had a great game plan.
Yeah.
They executed. They're just limited of what they can do offensively, and the defense knows that. You start the second half, and the first 3 possessions, we have penalties. And I said, and everybody goes, oh, why they could make that penalty? Sometimes if you're just not a good player, you make freaking penalties. Bottom line, you can coach them to beat hell. The good players don't make penalties. Average players do. And we have a bunch of average players, but they never quit. They never quit. And I was pleased with that. And so the fans ought to be proud of that. And they need to listen to you guys more often. I know my son's on here, but I'm just telling you, I listen to other people.
About to be on this now. I'm going to get kicked off the show.
Hey, I listen to other people after the game. They're on another radio station that you don't work for. They were covering the game. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they need the wrong play calls and all these different things. And then somebody says their feet work is wrong. The bottom line, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. If they want to scoop what's going on in OU football, they need to listen to you guys. So
that's that.
Sam Stoya out.
Wait, what? Well, I got
By the
one
way,
last question.
George has scheduled raises, just so you know. I mean, he's
Yeah, that's true. I got one more question for you, Dad, before you go. Do you still believe in Brent Venables?
I think so. I want to. I can tell you this: if I had a son that was playing football at OU, I'd want him to be coached by Brent Venables because I think he's a hell of a guy. I don't know for sure, but I think he cares, and that's 100%. When you manage a group of people, which I do, if somebody cares, then that's the first start. And I think he really, really cares, and I think he's invested in the program. And I think that right now I would say yes, I do.
Thanks, Dad. That was great.
That's my standing ovation for Sam Stoya. You're going to be welcome back at alumni events anytime you want after that appearance. All right. By the way, want to tell you guys about our good friends over at Academy Sports and Outdoors. I know Eddie and the boys, they're sponsoring the Instant Reaction, but they're also, they said, hey, we want to be a part of the post game and the unofficial 42, but the holiday seasons are here. This is the start of something fun. It's a season centered on when to shop, when to wrap, when to open presents, but Academy Sports and Outdoors, it's all about the wear, because the best holiday fun happens out there on the driveway with a new basketball hoop out back around the fire pit or up in the deer stand, because however you shop, no matter your fun, they've got it at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff at the right price, in-store and online at academy.com. Academy, have fun out there. And that's statewide, Oklahoma, and in the Tulsa area as well. So holidays, daylight savings time will be coming next week on this. We're about to be hitting it. I don't know how you guys feel about daylight savings time.
Very neutral. Don't really care. I kind of like it, actually. I like it. It's like a season.
It gets dark earlier, by the way, if you're wondering. If you don't,
I like it until it starts getting dark out. I welcome the idea of it getting dark out earlier, and then right around February, I'm ready to go back to it being sunny out until 6, 7 o'clock.
It makes you drink earlier, I think, if it's dark outside earlier. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
That sounds like something an alcoholic would say.
Depends on your level of alcoholic-ism.
That's fair.
I guess, yeah. Anyway, okay, so here's the other thing, guys. The defense today, obviously some busts. Brent didn't sugarcoat it afterwards. But, man, you like your dad said, you're basically playing a lower-level NFL division. And things start to get exposed when you're playing teams like Ole Miss that have a Jackson Dart, that have the athletes they have. And I don't think we realized at the time, but it's starting to set in. Maybe you guys did, but the loss of Kendall Dolby, the loss of Gentry Williams, it's really being felt by that defense right now.
Yeah, I think it is. I definitely think it is. And, I'm a little surprised how often they're getting beat over the top. It seems like they, obviously were a lot better during the middle of the season or the beginning of the season, but I don't know. I don't know how much I weigh that. Are they just playing better players right now? They're getting beat. Is that what it comes down to?
I mean, I think that's part of it, but
Sam's right. It doesn't seem like they can generate a whole lot of true pressure.
Not unless they bring extra people.
Right.
I mean, R. Mason got close a couple times tonight, but it was mostly when they had to bring somebody extra like a Danny Stutzman or Dasan McCullough. They brought Dasan McCullough a few times today, but even then, when you have somebody like Jackson Dart, who's really good at escaping the pressure and then finding somebody down the field, they kill you on it. And, Kanai Walker had a terrible day. I know you were really happy about that, Carrie, but I am interested to see if they...
I mean, that's not true at all. I like Kanai Walker. He's a great interview.
I know, but yeah, he's had a rough season, to be honest.
Carrie, I thought the 3rd and 13 that Dart completes on the little swing pass, maybe the biggest play of the game. I mean, right then it's only a 2-point game, I believe. They had taken the lead.
You mean
in
the one
that
to the
first
tight end where he just
quarter.
dumps it? Why he barely catches the ball out in front of him? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it was the running back. It was along the Oklahoma sideline. There in the, I want to say it was late third, like pretty late in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was. It was late third and massive play.
Third possession of maybe Ole Miss in the third quarter. Yeah, it was 3rd and 13. Caden Woolard had the sack that they went and reviewed, and then they came back, said that Dart's knee was down. He still completed the pass. It was almost a great play.
Yeah.
But they flush him right. You can get off the field. You have a chance to get off the field. You have a chance to really good, amazing field position.
Also, how about Ole Miss's tight ends today?
Yeah, well, the Prescorn kid, and that was something that Zach Berry talked to us about this past week on the Game Day Preview, was kind of, where the hell is the tight end in this offense right now? And Prescorn came back to school. I don't know if he would have been a draftable guy last year, but he came back. I mean, I think that he's a really good football player. OU would kill for a tight end half as good as Prescorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can block.
And I think, and I saw some people mentioning it online during the game, but I do think in some of the run situations, I think Robert Spears Jennings and Billy Bowman have been good, but clearly, as center fielders in secondary, they've let the defense down at times, and they've left.
Do they get lost sometimes, or do they just have their eyes in the wrong spot?
I mean, Bowman just didn't get over in time on the one touchdown that got turned into a one.
Right?
Said that his knee was
which
down
was another big play. That OU they can't get those plays. The big explosive offensive plays. That's asking too much.
You got to have time to do that. And I mean, let's face it, OU, the difference in this game today was OU could not get to Jackson Dart. Their offensive line blocked up OU. Whether they had 4 or 5, they were able to block it up. OU has a hard time blocking up a 3-man rush. And there was one screen grab out there today. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was where Jackson Dart was getting sacked. And you had 4 offensive linemen on a 3-man rush. You had 4 offensive linemen. Jackson Arnold. 4 offensive linemen on 1 defensive tackle.
Good. I'm sure that's how they wanted that.
So yeah, I mean it all goes back to the offensive line. But just talking about staying with the defense for a second. I mean, I thought Danny Stutzman was good. I mean, you had a 4th down stop. You really shut down their run game. I'm not sure. I'm trying to look up exactly how many rush yards they had in this thing. I'm sure it was 69. So I'm sure that was well below. And OU rushed for 147. I don't think they were giving up like 70 a game.
I think that was a 70 high. Or no, 70 high. That was a season high.
Season high was 70 yards because they had doubled it.
They had over 100 in the first half.
Yeah.
On the ground. So that means that they had 40 in the second half.
But in the second half, to be fair,
you're trailing.
You had to come from behind.
Yeah, and also play calling was a little odd in that second quarter. I mean, and I get it. You're trying to do some things to surprise the other team and win the game, make a big play. But also, special teams. I mean, having blocks in the back on kickoff returns and things like that. It's just like there's parts of it. It's not a disaster, but there's parts of it. It's like they have so many holes they're trying to plug. They miss a few here or there.
I think it is a disaster. I think it's pretty bad. It's gotten to the point where it's like we talk about these games all the time, but Eddie and I have started to have in these long car rides the dark
Very
conversations.
dark conversations.
No.
I'll just say it. Like, I just don't. And it's kind of what Sam said. It's like, I think Brent is awesome. I just like the way that they were able to move the football with Joe Jon today versus what Seth was doing. Whether right or wrong, I kind of blame Brent for that.
For what? Exactly. For not getting rid of Seth earlier? Oh, yeah.
Hiring Seth, allowing that to happen over the first 7 weeks of the season. I think it's hurt the program that much.
Oh, no. It's put his job in jeopardy.
Sure.
That's how bad the hire was.
And again, it's like you have to give him credit, or somewhat you got to give him something of a credit for the way that this defense is playing, because I do think, like, from what it was, it's night and day. But at the same time, there's just so many little things that add up. I just don't know if Rick can be the guy. I really don't.
And Eddie and I had this conversation in the car, Carrie, that, like, if you're going to have to totally scrap the offense and go hire a new staff and, rebuild that side of the ball, like, is it almost worth it? Just pull the plug on the whole thing and start over from scratch.
Let, like, Kevin Johns take over completely?
Well, I mean, like, pull the plug on Brent.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't think they'll do that.
And I probably long term, I don't even know if that's like.
I don't think that's the solution. I still think they can fix this by bringing in a good staff in the offseason and keeping somewhat of this recruiting class together, and then going and getting some guys in the portal.
But, there's not enough offensive linemen in the portal. You just can't fix it.
I know. Sure. I mean, you're going to have to play Brooks. You're going to have to play some of the Eddie Luis. You have to get some of these guys in from the high school ranks to at least start developing.
Yeah.
Carrie, I told George, and we were talking about this on the way down to Mississippi yesterday. Is it ironic or a coincidence that it seems like all the guys that came in with Brent are on the defensive side of the ball? Obviously, they obviously coached at Clemson. They know what they're looking for in the style of player, the type of player, the physicality in a player. And then you look at the offensive side of the ball. Every one of those guys coached in the Big 12. Every one of these guys was a holdover from what this previous program was in playing in the Big 12. I almost question if they even know what they're looking for to a certain extent.
Well, I don't question it.
Is it just easy to say?
I don't question it because the very first thing that came out when I talked to somebody on the inside after Seth Littrell was fired is Brent needs to hire a coordinator with SEC experience. Because like you said, like I watched that OU Baylor game today. My God, I mean, OSU has gone from 2 injuries into a team that cannot stop someone from running the ball. I don't know how many yards Baylor had on the ground today. It was embarrassing. Like, really? And that's what OU used to be. Because you could get away with that and not get fired. You would get fired in the SEC. Lincoln Riley would have gotten fired in the SEC, and he knew that with the defense that he puts on the field week after week. And it's the same on the offensive side. If you can't be physical, you can't run the ball, you don't have running backs, you don't have a quarterback that, is good. I mean, like Nussmeier good. I mean, like A&M struggled because they haven't even had a quarterback that good. But Jackson Arnold is good enough to be an SEC quarterback. So
I agree.
Like they have to find an offensive coordinator that knows, like you said, knows what they're looking for. Nick Saban, he knew exactly what he was looking for. There was a reason that Alabama wouldn't take a guy unless he had certain measurables. Because they knew guys that were smaller or had, short arms on the offensive line, or weren't long enough in the secondary, that they wouldn't be the dominant team anymore if they didn't have those body types.
I think the reality of the situation is again, kind of like my dad said earlier, this thing isn't getting fixed next year. Like, even if you like go out and hire the best offensive coordinator in the country and you go get a bunch of guys in the portal, I don't think all of a sudden OU is going to be some amazing team next year. It's the same if you were to pull the plug on Brent. Like this, it would be even worse next year probably in that situation, considering the schedule. So I don't know what the answer is. I think everybody needs to buckle up for the next couple years, maybe even longer. But I don't know, Kerry. I think Eddie has a point though on the staff situation. I think that is correct.
And it might just be easy to say now that it's out there.
It's. I think it's the truth. And I think that's been the case the last couple of years when you look at the offensive side in recruiting. And I think that, moving forward, you have to, like Kerry said, you have to go get somebody that has seen it, has done it at a high level, and knows what it takes. And that's why it's like, we keep hearing the name Joe Craddock, and we keep tossing it around because of the Clemson ties, but he's also coached in the SEC, coached at Arkansas. He's from the Southeast. Like, it would make a lot of sense, just like, maybe like a Jake Spavital at Baylor. You mentioned Baylor, Kerry. They're moving the football all over the field right now. He coached at Texas A&M, obviously. I mean, somebody like that has done it before. I think that's what you have to go after if you're Oklahoma.
Yeah, and, Jeff Lebby came here from Ole Miss, so he'd seen it there. And he's scoring points at Mississippi State. They're just not very good.
Exactly. Just bring Jeff Lebby back.
Well, it might be available to you in 3 years.
I know, right?
He might be available, yeah. Or get Bobby Petrino.
It's so defeating to come back here and
that would be the ultimate.
The weird thing is, Petrino. I feel like they played pretty well today for what they are. I felt like they played pretty well.
Look here's the thing. You talked about Brent, whether he's the guy or not. He has to keep putting today's together. You can't have the bottom drop out on you, fall out on you. Like you can't have, or noticeably the team has quit on you by the time you get to the end of the season.
If they played like they did today a week ago, do they win?
Yes, I think so. Well, I mean, yes.
It's a hell of a lot closer game. That's for damn sure.
It's a game that comes down to one of the last possessions of the fourth quarter.
I did kind of think
21 points.
I did kind of think if they fired Seth after Texas, would they have won last week? And really, there wasn't anything groundbreaking that Joe Jon did. It was smarter. It was a smarter game plan. It was Jackson Arnold being prepared they basically game planned for a terrible offensive line is what they did today. Which I think Seth was probably stubborn and said, Our line is going to come around eventually. I believe in Bill. It's gonna, and I've been told this. This is my fan fiction, I guess. But to me, it seems like Joe Jon went into this game today saying, you know what? Our offensive line can't block anybody. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna throw outlet passes. We're gonna run Jackson. We're gonna run Javonte. And it felt like they beat that into the offensive line's head all week because they came out and fired off the ball and actually blocked people.
I mean, they kind of kicked Ole Miss's ass in the beginning of the game up front.
And that's when they had Walter Nolan in the game.
Yeah. He never came back either in the second half, did he?
No, I think he's really hurt.
Damn. That sucks.
So, yeah, I mean, look, we're here to track it, and, I appreciate your dad's sales pitch to people, but I did think that a lot today. Like, some of you guys out there, just subscribe. I mean, tell your friends to listen to the podcast, to go watch our YouTube videos. Like, get yourself educated on what's going on. And so you're not
we're idiots, but we do know what's going on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're screaming into the ether over nothing. Over stuff that's not even factual. About receivers and... And I get it. You want to feel better. But kind of just stop seeking out the stuff that you want to hear and listen to some hard truths every once in a while. Is this a hard factor all of a sudden? Am I turning into Alex Jones?
So I think it's just depressing.
Eddie, just stay away
depressing.
from that one, all right? Stay away from that one.
It is depressing. I mean, we're sitting here talking about OU taking a moral victory at Ole Miss.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying it looked better. It didn't look like a total train.
That's a moral victory. It looked better. They still got beat by double digits. George said it was only the first time since '98 that they've been beat or lost 3 consecutive games by double digits. I mean, it's not good.
No.
At least they scored a touchdown. They scored 2 touchdowns today. They're on fire.
Well, and like I said, you have a right to be pissed. You have a right to call for Bill Bedenbaugh's job. Just stop yelling at us because we're not asking Brent Venables why Bill Bedenbaugh still has a job.
Yeah, I don't know what that would accomplish if I went into the Tuesday press conference and asked that. I think that would just be not good for my career if I did that.
No.
We've always said this, though. That is, ask the tough question, quote unquote, is make an accusation, make sure that you know that they know that you're pissed and the fan base is pissed. They don't have to be told that. They know.
They know, yeah.
Also,
you have a voice online.
We're so blunt about the team, and we're so honest about the team. Like, don't get mad at us. We're being more than fair. Like, I saw someone who's like, "You're giving BV too many excuses. He's getting a pass." I'm like, no, he's getting a pass.
Anybody that thinks that, they're just fucking stupid. It's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of stupid people. I'm a stupid person, but you're just living in a world of denial.
I mean, for some people, they think that we can get people fired just by calling.
If we could, I already would have. I'm sick of watching this shit every Saturday. God, it's crazy. I hope it gets better, though. I do.
And I think in some ways it got better today, but it also taught a lot of new people for the first time that the offensive line isn't any good. Like, I would imagine some of these people, like, you should have to take a quiz. Like, did you sit through the whole game last week? Did you sit through, or did you give up and leave and go listen to music or something when it got to be 21-0? Or did you go play pool or something? Like, did you go to the bar and just start drinking? Like, did you actually watch the game last week? Because last week told you that the offensive line is so bad, they can't really come back from it. So now you've had 2 weeks in a row where you've seen the offensive line is so bad, it prevents them from running any passing offense whatsoever. Like, that's the differentiation. Last week, it prevented them from running any offense at all. This week, the only thing it really prevented was from Jackson Arnold dropping back and throwing the ball downfield. The receivers that were probably covered anyway, but still.
I don't know how you could have watched any game this season and not figured out that. I mean, they couldn't run the football against Temple. They couldn't run the football against Tulane. They couldn't run the football against Houston. They were having these same problems in the non-con. We just thought they were going to get better.
Like Bill was going to make it better because of his reputation. Yeah.
Right. And maybe this is just a lost cause. Maybe he's still a good coach. He just can't get this group better because they're not good enough. But to a certain sense, it feels like they're getting worse. It feels like they're not improving at all.
Well, when Jake Taylor's at home, and then Jacob Sexton gets knocked out of the game, they have no chance to get better because they don't have better players than those two.
And credit to them. I thought that you walk in there at halftime, I thought they played pretty well in the first half.
They played great.
It was just like a switch was flipped in the second half. And then all of a sudden, Jackson had nowhere to go. He had the same look that he had in those early games, a little bit of a deer in the headlights. Holy shit, I'm going to get murdered about as soon as I catch the football from Troy Everett. It just, I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and it's all the same stuff over and over again, which I know is frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like,
kind of is what it is.
It's one of those things. It's like they should have better, but they don't. And that's on Bill
Bedenbaugh. On top of that, Kerry, the fact of the matter is they're 4-4 we're literally sitting here hoping and praying that they can just win 2 more games to get bowl eligible so they can practice in December. That's in Brent Venables' 3rd year. That's where this program's at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if I just told you those
but
facts.
That's why we spent so much time talking about is OU SEC ready? Because we knew it was going to be tougher. We knew that that the schedule they've been playing so much easier than the schedule they're getting ready to play. 100%. And now we're seeing it in action.
100%. 100%. And if I told you all those facts, 3 years ago when they hired Brent, and you laid out that they were under 500 in his first year, you laid out that, they had a positive year last year. You go 10-3. I know you lose the bowl game. You have the upheaval. It's just, I'll be the first one. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that feel like this. Hand up. It's not gone the way that I thought it would. And I think that I feel right now as maybe down about the idea of Brent being the guy as I've ever been. And that sucks.
I don't feel more down than I did after last week. Because I feel like there was some improvement.
I do.
I don't. Last week was a rock bottom. I feel like they didn't drill any deeper today.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just think about the whole, I guess.
But we had the same conversations last week. Sure. And I think that we're going to have them the rest of the season. Sure. And we're going to have them all off season.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're firing him.
No, and I don't think that would.
Well, George, let's
that'd be the right move.
Let's clarify that though. You don't think that they're firing him right now, and neither do I. But there's still 4 games left to play.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also just don't.
The plan right now is that Brent Venables is not in danger of being fired. That's
I
where
don't think so.
The people that make the decisions sit. Now, it's just like anything else. If Joe Harris and Joe Castiglione start getting more irate callers from the Board of Regents, that could change things. If this turns into a total dumpster fire and the team clearly quits on Brent and they're getting their heads kicked in by 30 in Baton Rouge and they haven't, and they barely beat Maine or something. I mean, if
they really beat Maine, we're having an entirely different conversation.
That's what I was about to say is a week ago, we didn't think that or I guess before the South Carolina game, we didn't think they were going to fire Seth Littrell in the middle of the season. And they go out and they lay an egg and play like shit, and they had to do it.
And Brent went home Brent went home Saturday night, and from what I know, talked to some people and made the decision that he's got to make a change. And then Sunday morning, everyone got together and a change was made. So that's how quickly that happened.
Exactly. And so that's why it's if they go and they get beat by 40 against Alabama and LSU or something, I wouldn't rule anything out.
Right.
But right now, as we stand today, I feel pretty confident he's going to have another year.
And then
the OC thinks his biggest. It might be the biggest move of his career.
And here is the biggest, hardest question that he has to answer to me moving forward. And it might not matter depending on his offensive coordinator. But let's say you mentioned Jake Spavital. He's worked with Bill Bedenbaugh before. He knows him. I would say he admires him as an offensive line coach. You really have to balance this decision between saving a recruiting class and firing Bill Bedenbaugh. And I know what the fans' answer is. Fire him. He's done a terrible job. He deserves to go, and you're right. But losing another recruiting class could not just set you back a year, but 2 years or 3 years.
I think it would get Brent fired.
I think so too. But I also wonder, Kerry, how much does Bill want to be back?
That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
I mean, this has gotten to a toxic point.
It's possible he could retire at the end of the season or basically resign.
And to Eddie, your point when you said this is the biggest hire of Brent's career, I would also go a step further and say this is the biggest hire for the program in a long time. Yes.
Yeah, since Joe, I would say since Joe took over.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it is. I mean, you keep digging this hole in this conference, you're going to be not only just a laughing stock, you're going to get your ass kicked every fucking week. We've seen it over the past 4 weeks. And guess what? The guys in Austin, they're only going the opposite way.
Can we at least see Deion Burks come back just once?
I would love to. I've bookmarked so many people that have said that he's
quit.
quitting on the team.
George told me on the way to the game that he quit on the team. He walked off the practice field. That's going to get clipped. It's going to be all over the internet.
I know. Somebody's definitely going to tweet me about that.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I mean, there is a part of me that goes, okay, maybe you get a couple wide receivers back here over the next couple weeks. I think it's a pretty good sign that Farouk's still working his way back to maybe get back from Missouri or Alabama. You can go win the Missouri game, I think. You got to find some good momentum. And, and speaking of momentum, it's like, that was the first time that I can remember all season that the offense was in any type of rhythm in the first half.
And it looked good, yeah.
Looked great. I say that they only scored 14 points, but they did leave it out on the 3-yard line. The first possession.
Yeah. I will say this though, Ole Miss
you have to be aggressive.
Ole Miss had some really bad penalties in that game that helped them a little bit.
Yeah, the first half was awful.
I mean, this isn't an Ole Miss podcast, but if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I walk away from that game going, you got to clean up the discipline shit for them, because there's no way they're going to beat a good football team playing like that.
They're not getting Georgia in 2 weeks.
No way, no chance.
They're not winning a playoff game.
It'd be insane in 2 weeks for Georgia.
Yeah,
I kept thinking that.
Oh, I think Georgia will bury them.
I think so too.
It'll be a close game.
I think Texas is better than Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair.
I mean, Texas is good.
I think Texas might be the second best team in the SEC.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
LSU's really good too.
Look, I'm not sitting here saying everything's fixed or take everybody off the hot seat. It's still to be determined. I think we all feel that way.
Yeah.
But we're also not here defending Bill Bedenbaugh and this offensive line. We're not.
No,
we're not defending any of it, Kerry.
No.
We're not defending the product that is on the field. Like Eddie said,
it's the worst. It could be. It's not the worst of my lifetime. It's certainly the worst in 30 years.
Yeah.
I would just say if you're a fan, first off, if you're not subscribing to Sooner Scoop, I don't know what you're doing. It's like $1 for 7 days right now. This coaching search is not going to stop. We're going to keep covering it. And you know us. When it comes to like administrative stuff and coaching searches, we're always ahead of everybody on that. Maybe not so much who sprained their ankle at practice, because I got a buddy, kind of thing. But when it comes to the big stuff, we kill everyone. Newspapers, other websites. So this is the time to subscribe to Sooner Scoop. $1, 7 days. And then you roll it over, you get your first year for half off. So it's the best deal that we've had since we joined On3. Love to see you guys sign up and not be out there reading everybody's fan fiction about how the receivers collectively have decided to quit on the team and they just haven't told them yet. They're hurt. They're really hurt. They're seriously hurt. Deion Burks re-aggravated his injury last week. George told you all about it. It's no big conspiracy. Just, I don't know. I've had a long day. It's enough with that stuff. And I'm going to stay off of Twitter for the rest of the day. I am really fired up. Tomorrow morning, our family business with Jenny Baranchik is going to be on. With Isaac, and Joe is really happy with how that interview went. She's just fantastic. I mean, you talk about like great people in the OU athletic department. She's near the top of that list. I mean, she's fantastic. Boys, any closing remarks before you get some sleep and head back tomorrow?
I don't think so, Kerry. Addie just went to the bathroom, and I think we're going to get out here and get some.
I got nothing.
Get some food with my dad. So we appreciate the great Sam Stoya joining the pod.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Tell Sam to let you pay for the food, and then I will reimburse you after that sales job that he just did on the podcast.
Sounds great. Well, I'll hold you to that.
Let's see how cheap, let's see how cheap your father really is.
Memphis.
I know you don't want to do that.
I do want to do that.
No,
I want to meet some people out there.
Keep him from.
It was it was a cool experience. I just wish this thing was better than what it is.
And there were a lot of OU fans that looked like out there today.
Yeah,
great.
Shout out all the OU fans that made the trip. I know, talking to my dad, my brother also made the trip.
My parents loved the Grove.
Yeah, they had a blast, and I think that they also were disappointed in the result of the game, but also just leading up to the week. I think that there was probably some. I think my dad would say this, that like, do I really want to go to Ole Miss now that the team sucks? But OU fans showed up today, and you could hear them. So props to them for making the trip out here. It was fun.
All right. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back again on Monday with your recruiting report and your game day rewind, where Josh will get to have his say on how things went today. But the Sooners lose it. Their third in a row? Is that where we are?
Yep, third in a row.
26-14. Jackson Arnold appears to be settling in as your starting quarterback the rest of the way. And defense, you just got to get a little bit better because it just wasn't good enough. It was good. You had some good moments today, just not good enough. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with the injury situation, with the offensive line, with wide receivers. And thanks for listening to the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.